welcome to the Monday evening.
Love ball like I do. After Dark, it's a must listen.
It's where I go to get my hoops fixed.
This is Field of 68 After Dark.
What's the word, everybody? Welcome into the Field of 68 After Dark. I'm Cam Smith, riding with my guys, Randolph, Childress, Jerel, McNeal on this Thursday night. And look, I'm just going to keep it a buck. It wasn't a lot going on in college basketball, man, but we got one game that we're definitely going to break down when it comes to Iowa and Iowa State, that Cyhawk series. Interesting matchup on a number of different levels, but we got a lot coming your way on this show, and we're going to make it do what it do. Some conversations involving the Big 12. Is Iowa State the best team in the Big 12, and examining the other teams there? We're going to play a little game with the coaching carousels of new coaches in new places and trying to see how they fare in terms of how we are ranking them, and then we got to get you ready for some marquee matchups for this weekend. So again, we're going to make it do what it do, man, and start things off with that matchup between Iowa State and Iowa in Iowa City. Big time matchup for the Iowa State Slycones because they came into this ball game. Obviously, the first half, you've watched that game. A team that is known for their defense, but this season they've been doing a hell of a job scoring the basketball. But it wasn't that in the first half, especially from the RC and Jerel, a team that really struggled shooting the basketball. But Curtis Jones was a dude that really stepped up his game. And you saw him simmering and marinating a little bit and then exploded in the second half, especially with his threes. Went 5 of 8 from three. In fact, the past couple of games, man, he's been shooting lights out. I mean, he's going 10 of 18 from three, well over 50%, 55% to be exact in that situation. So, RC, I'll start off with you with this Iowa State team coming into this ball game, third nationally. And you know when it comes to these rivalries, man, you can throw out all the rankings, all the records, all of that stuff, because it's going to be a drag-it-out, physical, tuck your chain in, guard your grill type game. So what did you see from Iowa State? And also Iowa, who had the opportunities to really run away with this thing, but they were playing around.
Man, you got to give credit to Iowa, too. I mean, it's a rivalry game, and I hope they can consistently defend the way they did. I thought early the first half and obviously midway through the second half, they were defending and competing. And we're accustomed to, Iowa making threes and scoring the offensive end. I thought they were defending at a high rate, a high level against obviously a very good team in Iowa State. So credit to those guys. I thought they ran out of gas at the end. And, Iowa State never panicked. They just stepped up. Guys made shots. I thought the game flipped when Freeman went to the line and it was he had two. And they came away with an empty possession. And when he missed those two free throws, I just thought you can just see all the air let out of their balloon. They had a chance the next possession. And from that point on, I just thought it just ran out of gas. They couldn't give Iowa State credit, man. Defensively, they locked in, held Iowa without a field goal for almost 5 minutes there, late in the ball game, and that was it. But you got the sense that Iowa State was going to make a run. They were capable of it. This team is scary because they used to rely on their defense for so much, and now they got scoring, they got shooting, and Jefferson, my God. I mean, I think he can, what he's doing inside, his ability to pass, play bully ball. Iowa State, by far, to me, has been the most impressive team I've seen in the Big 12 so far. But great matchup, great rivalry game. It's great to see this early in the year. Let's hope Iowa can compete on the defensive end of the floor. Give them some credit. I thought they competed their tails off tonight.
Yeah, they definitely did. I mean, Jerel, when you look at Iowa, obviously not characteristic of them to struggle from three, but this is still the same team that was able to expose Iowa State in certain situations in the second half, early on in the second half, with dribble penetration, kickouts for three. Obviously, that defense collapses and gets to the lane. So what did you see from, one, the Hawkeyes, but then also throwing it over to Iowa State and how they were really able to take control of this ball game to get their fifth straight win?
Yeah, I think RC kind of hit it on the head just coming into the game. They definitely got off to a hot start. And Iowa's a tough team to guard anyway. Just traditionally, they always have guys that can really shoot the ball from the perimeter. They space the floor well. They usually don't turn it over a lot, and they play good team oriented basketball. You don't have a lot of guys out there jacking 100 shots or just trying to go one on one and play iso ball. They get a lot of rotations and they move the ball a ton, and they got guys that are capable of making those shots as well too. So you give those guys credit for sure. I think they came in, they got off to a hot start. They really shot the ball. I think they were shooting over 50% from the three in the first half, but RC hit it on the head because I think they ran out of steam a lot in the second half. They seemed to couldn't get a big shot to fall when they needed it, especially as Iowa State was kind of walking them down. But I think the key for Iowa, just year in, year out, it's always going to be how they going to hold up against really physical teams, really tough teams. How are they going to be able to sustain that throughout 40 minutes of a game and continue to be able to make perimeter shots? That's the only thing that kind of worries me about them. It's just such a jump shooting team. It's just like, when those shots don't fall, they kind of got to find another answer. Tonight, I felt like they could have maybe threw it inside to Freeman a couple more times just to try to slow the game down and kill some of those runs. And Iowa State, on the other hand, just an impressive game again. They didn't have it going early in the first half. Gilbert struggled tonight offensively, like RC said. They made it hard on him. They forced him into some tough shots. He couldn't really get it going. Really, none of the guards got it going. But Josh Jefferson was fantastic all night long. Him and Big Deshaun Jackson kind of carried him early on, and they pounded him on the glass. Man, Iowa State had 18 offensive rebounds to Iowa 8, so they got a ton of second possessions, and they just weren't able to sustain that lead throughout the course of the game. Man, but Iowa State was impressive again. I think they might be better for sure than they were last year. And that's a team, like RC said, man, they're going to be around the top of the Big 12 all year.
Yeah, for sure, man. You talk about those offensive rebounds that they had in this game tonight, obviously kicking out and leading to second chance points. Some of those were threes, and Curtis Jones was the recipient of some of those threes. As I mentioned, went 5 of 8 from 3 tonight. So let's bring in the game leading scorer, Curtis Jones of the Iowa State Cyclones. On the bus right now, headed back to Ames, Iowa. So, Curtis, I still see you have that smile on your face, and I would too if I dropped 23 points against a rival and getting the first win in Iowa City for the Iowa State Cyclones in 10 years. So, one man, I heard you post-game just talk about what you were able to do in the offseason about being in the gym and growing your game offensively. So, kind of take me through that and what you were able to do, and what did you really focus on to level up your offensive game, especially your outside shot?
Just working on it every day, coming in early, me and Keith working practice. Just saying that, it's really just being confident. Like every shot I shoot, I feel like it's gonna go in. That's how you gotta be.
All right, Curtis, you might be the second or third best. Maybe you could be third best shooter on the Zoom right now. I want you to know that. You might rise up on the list. You could be second or third. I don't know quite yet. We're gonna see.
Oh, in front
I
of
don't
me.
know what Cam J looking like right now.
Nah.
You might be.
No.
Great.
I'm at the bottom, RC. I'm at the bottom.
Okay. All right. Well, you third. You second or third right now on the call. No, congrats, man, on a great game.
Thank you.
Question for you.
I'll go in the shootout versus y'all.
Okay, well, I'll take you up on that. I'll take you up on it. Hey, I got to ask you about your team. All right, you guys in the past, we've known for your defense. How comfortable are you guys feeling right now that you've taken another step on the offensive end with this group?
We're feeling very comfortable, I'd say. Everybody seems to be getting involved, making big plays. And just as a team, we come together and really don't care. They made a lot of shots, and we spoke about defense. They made a lot of shots. Always come together. They missed them.
All right. Curtis, as I mentioned, is on the bus, headed back to Ames, Iowa. So just dealing with some little connection issues, but all good. We're still going to move it forward, man. No, you're good. You're good. You're good, Curtis. It's no fault of yours, man. You're all good, man. So, Jerel, go ahead.
Yeah, he riding through some of those cornfields, man. That 5G going out on you, but congrats, Curtis, man. I just want to say first and foremost, kudos to you, man, because you tell the difference in your game this year. So kudos to you for putting in the work, man. You oozing with confidence. I was just gonna ask you though, and throw some of your teammates in the mix too, because I felt like you guys Being such a guard-heavy team and really good guard play, I felt like you guys got off to a little bit of a slow start offensively tonight, but you guys guarded as you always do. But the big fellas inside carry you tonight, man, with Josh Jefferson and Deshaun Jackson. So just talk about a little bit how those guys was able to control the game, keep y'all afloat till y'all was able to get it rolling to the second half.
They were huge. They was offensive.
Yeah, he's in a bad spot.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You know, they carried him. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you for a little bit.
Coming back in.
All right. You know, it was big time that those guys were able to get a lot of offensive rebounds. You know, we was able to get many second possessions after that, as well as Taylor Lipsy. You know, he was able to get in there and get all things. So, right, even they you know, everybody contributed.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why you guys are going to be such a tough out in the Big 12, man. So when you look at that and you think of just the team aspect of it and moving forward as you get ready for Big 12 play, you got a couple of home games before you start things off with that Big 12 opener on the road against Colorado, a team you've already beaten this season so far. I mean, what is it going to take for this team to, I'm not going to say shock or surprise everybody, but have you in a position where more respect is put on the Iowa State Cyclones' name?
I think it's just going to continue to do what we do, stand poised. You know, we got a lot of experience, and I think that shows a lot in these games. You know, today we were down pretty much the whole game, but it never felt like we were like out of it. Like we was always confident going into the media and just saying, "Stay with it, our run's gonna happen." That's what happened.
Hey, give us a story about Coach Ossenberger. Can you tell us anything about him other than what you see on TV? Other than, you know, Coach looking like he curled all day, every day. But tell us something about
upper body. All upper body.
all curls.
Any stories about Coach?
I say, man, he's just a great leader. You know, he knows how to win. He got the recipe for it. He keeps us together. Like, you know, we got a lot of talent on this team, but he's able to, you know, bring it on to get all work, which is huge. You know, a lot of players have talent, but can you bring those guys together? So I say that's just one thing I can really say. Great leader.
All right, Curtis, we appreciate the time, man. Congrats on that massive win against your rival, Iowa and Iowa City. 23 points, the game high for the senior Curtis Jones, man. Keep shooting that thing, man, because you've been shooting the leather off the ball. Career best 40% from three. So appreciate you.
Second, third best. Second or third best on the call.
We're going to get it going.
Like I said, y'all can come we can have the
shootout. Good luck.
All right, Curtis. Safe travels.
Thank you.
Good luck the rest of the way, Curtis.
Yeah. Yes, sir, man. Curtis Jones, definitely a hooper and definitely a shooter, man. I shooting was not my game. I was a passer. That's one of the reasons I got my scholarship to Southern Illinois. So I was passing the shooters like you, RC, and you, Jerel, and also to Curtis. That's how I was able to get one of my scholarship to Southern. So that's why I just put myself at the bottom of the list, because I'm not just going to cap on Field of 68 After Dark and say, yeah, no, I should be one or two, because you know how to go, man. People going to run your resume, and they're going to look at the percentages and be like, nah, bro, you lying on Field of 68.
Pulling the receipts on you.
You know what I add about the game, too? Just when I thought Iowa was going to run away, they just, like you said this, Jerel, earlier, they just dominated the glass. They would get an offensive rebound and then get a three, or just – they're just finding ways offensively. I was just really impressed with them, you know, with their overall balance and how they play. And then, you know, Joshua Jefferson just seems to be like a point forward, and they get in the half court. I originally thought, you know, when I watched this team, I'm like, all right, Lipsy, you can say, all right, when they make him a passer, make him a scorer. He's just looking to get in gaps, find guys, and then he's knocking down shots. And I'm thinking like, well, hell, if he starts knocking down shots, what the hell do you do? This team is talented. They can score. We know they can defend. And the question we've always had with Iowa State, with whether they score enough points, they're doing so early. And I think it's impressive with them because it's not just with an easy schedule, right? They're not like some of these teams in the Big 12 that hadn't played anybody. They've had a hell of a schedule. And to be this good offensively with the way they're capable of defending and as mentally tough as they are, they're looking really, really impressive. They look like the third-ranked team in the country. They look like a number one seed right now.
Yeah, those are facts, RC. I mean, if you look at it, this team very well could be undefeated. I mean, they were right there against Auburn, and that's their only lone loss that they've had on the season so far. And as I mentioned, since that time, they've won 5 straight. So we all know this. If you can play defense, that's one thing, but also when you can turn around on the other end and make shots, it just makes it for a frustrating night for your opponent. And that's what we saw from Iowa in that second half. Jerel, you pointed to this in the first half with the Hawkeyes of how it was just flame throwing from the arc. But whatever that conversation was, or adjustment or tightness when it came to rotations or recognition to shooters, it wasn't the same Iowa team from three in the second half that we saw in the first half, man. So it makes an interesting conversation when you think about the Big 12. And let's take it here. When you look at Iowa compared to what we've seen through the Big 12 and teams like Kansas, like Baylor, like Houston, not off to these stronger starts as we're accustomed to seeing. So I threw this question to Curtis, and I didn't want to say that Iowa could shock people in the Big 12 because I feel that when you say shock, it's like nobody really gave them a chance. No, this is a legit team. We've laid out all of those points. But when you get into that play, what is realistically the chances of Iowa State of taking home that crown away from Kansas?
I think it's really realistic. And at the end of the day, I've seen all of those other teams, and just overall body of work, like RC said, they've played a hell of a schedule, and they've held up through it all. They've won a ton through it all. Like he said, we all been singing Auburn's praises the last couple of weeks since the season started, and that's more than well deserved for Auburn as well too. But man, Iowa State was right in that game with them as well too. They beat my Marquette guys in the home game, which wasn't an easy game, and it was a back and forth game, really good competition. So I think they hold up. They got all of the pieces, and they got multiple guys that they can go to on the offensive end. We know that their MO has been their defense and pressure and those guards getting after you all game long. And right now they're looking like a team that's gonna be hard to beat in Big 12 play. I mean, who else has looked as good as Iowa State? I mean, I think the only team I could even think to put up there at the start was maybe like Kansas, but let's be honest, they got all the talent, but they haven't looked great all year. Kansas hasn't really played to their potential, in my opinion, and they've had a couple really, I would even say, bad games. Not that they lost, but the way that they kind of lost and the way that they looked in a couple of those games for the Jayhawks. Right. I think you got to put Iowa State at the top and say that they're a serious contender to bring home a Big 12 title this year.
I will never count Kansas out because of that guy leading them and Bill Self, but they have to get more consistency out of those transfers, right? Meaning Stores, Griffin, and Mayo. They got to get more out of those guys, right? It puts a lot of pressure on Mayo to make shots for them. AJ Stores got to be a lot more consistent for them. I was expecting more of a bigger impact with him. Baylor, I mean, we don't know. Baylor beat Arkansas. We know they got to win against St. John's. I'll tell you guys a team that I like in the Big 12, and I know it's early. It's Arizona State, right? And they got a big one coming up with Florida this weekend. I like their guard play with Adam Miller and Freeman and Jason Sandin. I like him, and I'm a huge fan. I mean, a huge fan of Jaden Acquaintance. I think could do more athletically. He's ridiculous an athlete at his size. I like to see him get a little bit. Yeah, he's fun to watch, man. If he can really, I think he has so much more, a whole nother level that he can add, and I think him taking that step will elevate this team in that step. With Jihad, I wonder about them playing again. He allows them to play together, but I think if they were to when Jihad goes out and he slides to the 5, what he brings and his activity on the glass, rim protection, as a lob threat. They're a team that I think could do some. There's some other good teams in the league. Like, I don't know how good Cincinnati is right now because I don't know who they haven't had the resume yet to play against good teams. I know they've ranked. I think they're good, but I don't know until I see them up under the gun against a really good team. But if I had to say obviously disappointed in the start with Arizona. 4-4 right now, early in the year with them. I think everybody disappointed in them, and we've already discussed them. But I'd say Arizona State is a team for me, that wasn't picked very high. I think they were picked preseason. I think it was 12th or so in the league. Right now, Hurley has those guys playing well. If they can stay healthy, he has enough talent that I think they can finish in the top 5 of the league. I actually would be surprised if they don't.
How about a team like Houston, guys, in that Big 12? Obviously, defensively, always one of the best in the country with that. But it feels like they're when you get into this conversation of the Big 12, obviously, we just talked about Iowa State and then possibly being the new face of this conference. RC, you just touched on Kansas, and I'm with you. I'm never going to count Kansas out, especially coming off of back-to-back losses. Like, they got back in the lab and getting some things together and trying to get and maximize the most out of the stars. But, Jerel, when you look at a team like Houston, defensively, yeah, we can count that, but also offensively, what are they and what can they do to really keep pace when they're in those games against an Iowa State that can shoot the ball, or Kansas that has versatile weapons inside and outside to make it tough on you?
I feel the same way about Houston, sort of similar to what RC just said about Kansas. I'm not worried about them at all. They're going to be around the top. They're going to be in the top 4 of the Big 12 for sure, in my opinion, barring any crazy injuries or anything like that. And the crazy thing about Houston is, early on this year, I think they actually they're shooting the ball better from the outside than they have in the last couple of years, or they have traditionally. So with Cryer and Sharp, the way those guys are shooting the ball from 3 right now, it kind of brings them an added element. Obviously, they got some major losses having such a great team last year. I think the only thing what they kind of lacking is just like another guy who can get easy paint touches and create force help consistently. But make no mistake about it, Kelvin Sampson, same way with him, man. He's going to have those guys competing. They're going to guard. They're going to always defend. They're going to be tough. They're going to be physical. And with those guys, as long as they continue to make shots and be able to keep the defense honest offensively, and they do what they always do and go get extra possessions on the offensive rebounds, they're going to be in the mix as well, too. But Houston is probably, I would say, just shoe in. They're going to be a top 3 team probably in the Big 12.
Yeah, we talk about
I don't think there's any
Big 12.
question. Yeah, I don't think there's any question with Houston. The only thing, like you said, about Houston that I would add is they are shooting the ball better. We know they're going to defend. The way they play, they're not going to run away from you. And they're just missing that dude that's in Toronto, man, Jamal Shead. I mean, it's when it mattered most, they put the ball in his hand, and it's just not easy to replace a closer. It's just it's no different than what I said about Purdue. You don't lose a Jamal Shead and you don't lose a Zach Edey and just turn the page in the next year. It's just business as usual. So their identity's there, their coach is there, everyone else there, but their closer is in the NBA now, and I don't know how we're going to find out how they close games going forward without him. That's the only thing I want to see from Houston. They're going to be there. You're right. They're shooting it better. If they had this type of shooting a year ago, no telling how far that team could go. Yeah. They're shooting it so well. But can they sustain it? They had a really good schedule so far as well. They've been challenged. They've been hit. They're going to get off the mat. But again, just finding a guy, he could put him on his back. Jamal Shead could put them on his back and carry them at times. And they're missing that. It's expected. So when it all is said and done, I believe in that guy too. Just what we talked about, Coach Sampson. He's as good as there is in the country. They'll figure it out. It may look different, but they'll figure it out.
Yeah, for sure on that. All right, Big 12 conference play pulling up sooner than you believe. We're going to be tapped into that to see how that thing unfolds and who will be standing victorious when the dust settles. All right, we're going to take our first break here on After Dark, but when we come back, we're going to look at and examine some of the coaching hires in the offseason and how it's panning out for these coaches in their new destinations in this early part of the college basketball season. Stay tapped in with us. We'll be back soon.
If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM for the season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Go download the BetMGM app and use the code FIELD today. Now that the college basketball season is in full swing, you need to make sure that you have access to the best betting tool on the market, the Rhythm app, spelled RITHMN. is a data-backed app that uses AI and analytics to identify inefficiencies in betting lines and the player prop market that will allow you, the user, to profit. You can create customized, analytics-driven betting models tailored to your personal preferences as a bettor. Users have access to up-to-the-second against-the-spread data. And if you're like me and you understand pictures better than numbers on a screen, Rhythm's internal trend analysis provides you with the kind of graphs that will allow you to evaluate past results and project future performance in a visual way. Every Division I college basketball team is included in the Rhythm's metrics. Free subscribers to the Field of 68 Daily will get 25% off for a Rhythm subscription. Use the QR code on the screen to sign up or download at the link in the description.
What up, everybody? Welcome back to After Dark. Cam Smith with my guys, Randolph Childress and Jerel McNeal. Now, the last break, we just finished up talking about Big 12 and how that thing can unfold. And also shout out to Curtis Jones of Iowa State, who came on with us and joined us after putting up 23 points in that win against Iowa. But fellas, we got to get into this coaching carousel that we saw before the season. Obviously, when you look at Kentucky and Louisville and, of course, Arkansas, and the new faces there, not new names. We know the names, obviously, with Mark Pope and John Calipari, but Pat Kelsey. But let's examine and see through this first handful of games that we've seen so far before we get into the conference play of how you guys are feeling that things are panning out for these three names. And then we'll open it up to some of the top 5 coaches that we would choose to run our program. So let's start it here when you think of the situation in the coaching carousel that was John Calipari leaving Kentucky to go to Arkansas. But in comes Mark Pope into Kentucky. So RC, start us off there. When you look at Cal, let's go with him first and see and how you examine how this Arkansas team has looked early on, because they got a nice win and they almost cooked that win against Michigan in the Garden the other night. But what do you think of Arkansas so far in Cal's first season there?
They needed to win against Michigan, right? They needed that resume boosting win. They had beaten the teams that we thought they beat, and not, and then lose to the ones that we were, if they lost, you were kind of like, oh, okay, we're waiting on them to beat a good team, and they did. So
Right.
They're young. They got their young guys and Boogie Flan, and my thing with Kyle is they're talented. They're going to be there in the end. They're going to get tested in the SEC though, right? I mean, this is the dominant conference so far early. In the first month and a half of the season, it's been the SEC by everyone else. Last year, in previous 2 years, you can make the argument it's been the Big 12. But this year, I don't think anybody's arguing the depth of what the SEC has brought this year. So we're going to learn a lot about Arkansas. But if you're talking about what Cal has done, it's pretty consistent. He's going to get players. He's going to let them play. The question becomes is he's going to win in March. That's the only thing that's different. Is his roster construction or his GM, the GM of the team, is that going to look any different? Cal can coach. He's going to get young dudes, get them ready, send them to the league. I only want to see if does he do anything different in Arkansas come March or come the way he constructs his rosters going forward is the only thing I want to see. He's going to get the top kids. He's going to put them in the league. That's just his formula. That's who he is. He's going to let you play. But so far, so good. I'm not – it's just kind of what I expected them to be right now. I'm not disappointed. I'm not surprised. It's just right where I thought Cal and Arkansas would be.
Yeah, and I
How you feeling, Jerel, on Arkansas?
I wouldn't have been surprised even if they had got off to a slower start, to be honest with you. It's a good start for them, and it's a lot of new pieces. Yeah,
Whoa! All that money going around in Arkansas, all that.
I was gonna say that's you saw that reaction. I'm like, really?
And I don't mean like literal fried chicken. I mean, there's a whole lot of money being passed around in Arkansas.
That's what they call it, the Tyson chicken.
Yeah, man. A whole bunch of Jerry Jones and a whole bunch of
right.
They got a lot of money down there.
They got their own money down there in Arkansas. Their own money.
They print money down there.
They got the bag, man, and they got the talent. But 8-2 with essentially having to build a whole new roster. It's still like those dudes. Like I'm expecting them even once they get to conference play to take some lumps. It's a lot of working parts. It's a lot of guys who haven't played together before. It's going to take a little bit of time to figure it out. But like you said, RC, they got the talent, they got the players, they got obviously the freshmen, and Boogie Fland is playing at a really high level right now. And I think at the end of the day, what's going to make or break how good Arkansas can be this year is just going to be the progression and how well Wagner and Jonell Davis are going to be able to play. Because right now, they've both been solid, not great either way. Really a step down from what I was expecting from Jonell Davis after the years that I've seen him have over the last couple of years and the experience that he has. But I think they're going to need those two guys specifically to step up. Like, it's hard to ask. And don't get me wrong, Fland is dynamic, man. He's a special player, but he can't be the end all be all of your offense really in crunch time situations night in, night out, and expect to make a deep run. It's gonna get hard in road games, even in going into conference play in the SEC, man. So they're gonna need Wagner and Davis to play well and kind of figure things out and how all those guys gonna be able to coexist together. And I think the last thing of that is always gonna be this is just figuring out or getting some kind of flow or rhythm offensively, because I think that's a big part of it. Like, these guys are all new. They haven't played together for a long time. They figuring out where they going to get their shots set, how to play off one another, where he going to go when I drive it middle. Is he going to lift? Is he going to cut? Is he going to space the floor? Like, they still trying to work out all the kinks in that too. So, but I'm positive those two dudes get it going and they play at a high level along with the other guys that have been playing well already. They'll be good, but I still think they're gonna take some lumps throughout the SEC, man, because it's easily probably the best conference in the country this year. So I don't think it's any.
It's got to be Jonell Davis.
No, it is. Yeah, and that's my thing, RC. Like, that's the surprising thing about Jonell Davis. It feels like the guys on that team are looking for him to be the leader, and I don't know what the situation is. If it's him, obviously new program, bigger platform,
it's
but
hard,
he's not
man,
being the guy that we saw.
Yeah, but it's hard when you transfer in. Like, a lot of times when guys transfer into a school, they just trying to fit in. And coaches are like, man, I ain't bring you here to fit in. You come here and be you.
Right.
But sometimes it still takes guys a minute just to adjust to being who they are. So we've seen this dude do it, and we've seen him do it when it mattered, right? And Arkansas is going to need him to be the – we talked about it with Houston, like, be a closer, be a guy that can finish games for him. And say what you want, as good as some of those teams are in the SEC, a lot of them don't have a guy that we know can close games the way Jonell Davis can. So we'll see if he can step up. But we know he has the game. Cal going to put the battery in his back and going to allow him to do it.
Yeah.
But my only suggestion to him would just be, like, why do you care? Like make them adjust. Like, no one has done more in college basketball on that team than you have. So there should be a confidence in him to say, man, get on my back. I got y'all. And he doesn't have to carry him, because we act like it's not like Arkansas is devoid of talent. But resume-wise and production-wise, there's not many guys on that roster at the college level that have done it, the way that he has. And so if he takes that step, then that alone takes Arkansas up a step.
Yeah, to both of y'all points, man, it has to be Jonell Davis. I mean, once he gets himself comfortable and realizes that he is the guy in terms of leadership, the talent is there along with DJ Wagner, as you talked about, Jerel, then you're looking at an Arkansas team that can really get some things done. And to your point again, RC, like, Cal is going to hype you up. Like, he's one of the best hype men and gets you to another level where you didn't think it was possible. So we'll keep our eyes on Arkansas, especially in the SEC. But let's look at Kentucky and Mark Pope stepping into that situation, because RC, you talked about it's tough transferring in, but this is looking kind of seamless with this Kentucky Wildcats team and what Mark Pope has been able to do. So how much is it the players that were brought into the Wildcats program, or also is this a mix of just system with Mark Pope and him as a coach and what he did to mesh the talents and the roster and experience to make it work and have them 9-1 so far in the season?
It's both. It's Mark Pope and his system, which is fun as hell if you've ever watched him play.
Yeah.
But he brought in an older team. Like, if you follow Kentucky, no one. I mean, they're just so much older. He's not relying. It's like taking that Arkansas team with a bunch of young guys. This is an older team. This isn't a young team. So I'm not surprised by this start. It's fun to watch their buy-in. But when you see them system and you see the way they play, they don't care where the shots come from. They know everybody's going to get it. Everybody's going to touch it. They almost play inverted with Williams out on the perimeter, kind of passing to the cutters and setting ball screens and to the shooters. And um, I don't. I'm not surprised at all. I mean, having watched them down at the Champions Classic when they beat Duke, I'm impressed with them and seen them a couple of times since then, and I think they'll be there when all said and matter. The only thing that concerns me about them is when shots aren't falling, where's the offense going to come from? Shoot so many threes, and Otego Way will be a big part of that. His ability to get to the rim and constantly put pressure when shots aren't falling will be the other thing, and then Carr's ability to punish switches. Those two guys. The shooting will come and go. I think they have so much that I don't know how many cold nights or off nights they'll have because they have so many guys shooting them. But I think those two guys have much more responsibility and much more weight to lift when it comes to carrying Kentucky.
All right, Jerel, let's take it here when you think of maybe a couple of names that we just discussed. And Mark Pope of Kentucky, John Calipari of Arkansas. Do those guys fall into your top 5 coaches? If you were to run a program, if you were athletic director Jerel McNeal, are they in your top 5, or who is in your top 5 when it comes to coaches that you want running your program?
That's actually a great question, and unfortunately, I don't think I would put either one in my 5 right now. Not right now, at least, but I'll say that Pope is quickly ascending. I've been impressed with what he's been able to do just throughout the last couple of years of his career, and being able to take over the Kentucky job and just being, pretty much center stage at a blue buzz school like that. The way that he was able to kind of flip the roster, like RC said, get some older guys in and kind of just transition into this seamlessly. And the thing about it, I've been kind of watching them work too, man. They got some really good young guys too coming in. So they're gonna have some youth and a ton of talent that they're gonna be able to mix in going forward. So he's off to a great start. But right now, my 5, that's tough. I will go my 5 right now to start a program or run a program.
I was gonna say the Shaka Smart have a place in your top 5, Jerel.
That's easy. Yeah, that's easy. I could really go top 4 because that's a given.
That was easy. You gave him 4.
I was just waiting for it, RC.
I was about to say 4. It's really just 4. Yeah, you could. I was about to say because that's a given. He's done such a great job at my alma mater, so it's like it's a given.
Yeah.
Shaka obviously made it. I would go Kelvin Sampson.
Okay.
I would go Bill Self. I would go Dan Hurley. And I would probably go Scott Drew.
Man, talk about a mix of emotions
funny.
right there from Dan Hurley to Scott Drew.
What's funny? Like I had a list of guys that I took off. I was like, man, like they're too easy. Like, and you just named them. The only one I had differently, and all of those guys from Shaka to Hurley to Drew and Bill were on my list of like guys like they're too easy to pick. And I would add Mark Few to that list of somebody. I'm like, they're easy. I went with a little mix. I think Nate Oakes belongs on that list. I thought of it like if I was playing.
That's a good one.
That's a guy. That's a system I'd want to play in. Right at Alabama, it's fun to watch. Tommy Lloyd. I know Arizona's struggling, but damn, he will let you go. Right? He will. It is fun watching his team and his style of play. Matt Painter. I'm just a fan of what he does and his consistency and how he goes about it. You can't argue with him. Who else did I say? I got you said about. I'm gonna go with 2 guys that I like, just their personalities and know them. It's Ed Cooley and Dennis Gates.
Okay,
and it's not.
Gates, that's a good one.
Yeah. It's because Dennis is one of those up and coming guys, man. I know they just had they just had coming off a big win, but I'm a huge fan of who he is and what he's about, and I think that he'll get Missouri going, and consistently keep them going. I know they got a tough deal getting into the SEC as well, but I'm a huge fan of his, and I think he's one of these younger coaches that's coming up that'll do great things. So I didn't want to go with all I didn't have a homer pick like Shaka, like you know. I mean, you knew you were gonna do
Yeah,
that. But,
I mean,
but no,
RC,
just some young
look,
coach. I think.
First off, you made a great point though. D Gates, that's my guy though, man. That's one of my Chicago
Yeah.
guys. He actually coached me when I was a young pup coming up through the system, right when he got done hooping at the Cal, and he went before he got into coaching and everything too. So definitely a shout out to D Gates. I was gonna say this though, and I thought about it as I was making my list. I was like, damn, should we do I almost wanted to put like an age threshold on it. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh,
I think
so
you
you
want it.
thought
I think
you thought the ages
you
were
get what
joined
I'm
on that,
saying?
Jerel?
Like, no, look, and I don't want it there, but it's like, okay, if I'm starting and I'm picking a head coach,
Yeah.
that's like that matters, right? Like,
No, that's true.
I want
That's true.
somebody to come in, turn over the coach, and build me a program, which we all know isn't an overnight job anymore. Although it has changed with the transfer portal and NIL stuff,
Right.
but I could have took Bill Self and Kelvin Sampson off because those dudes are they grandfathered in. Those are legends in the game, some of the best coaches. But it was just like I didn't know. So I'll throw another one at you just for fun. Shirts from St. Louis. I like him.
Okay. Yeah.
I like him.
Yeah. That's a good pick. That's a good pick.
I think
I
he does some really fun, cool stuff. We got a couple guys that are down there. My guy, Big Robbie out there, man. But they run a fun offensive concepts. They spread the hell out of the floor. They move the ball. They do some fun stuff. So I definitely think he'd be a good one. Like this day and age, kids will love to play for him.
Hey, I got one knock on Coach Schultz, only one knock, and I agree with you. Having seen them play, and hell of a system, it's gonna be fun. The only knock, and we got to get him on field at 68 and ask him. I got to find out, does he have a height prejudice on his staff? I don't think he got one person on his staff over 5'10". I was standing next to his staff. I'm telling you, if you 6 feet, forget about it.
Yo, so like who's working with the bigs though? When you go guards on one end, guards on the other end, like you got a 5'8" coach.
Look.
They got that broomstick.
Hey, look, they got that little thing you just stand there. They got that stand there like this, that little skeleton little thing. They act like they when you put the kids in there for rim protection.
Yeah,
I think that's what they got there. No, but they got a hell of a system, man. It's fun watching those guys, and I agree with you. He's doing a hell of a job there, so I wouldn't doubt that at all. It's fun to play. He's we had him out the field at 68 tip off the season, and to see their team live. Big Robbie rolled his ankle. Since then he's coming back. So absolutely be fun to watch him play in his system. And I wouldn't. They'll be lucky to keep him there for a couple of years. To be quite honest, like he's one of those guys that when high major jobs open up, when you watch from an exciting style of play, he's one of those names that you would just say, hey man, we need to, Bob Ritchie would be another guy to add to that too. That would be fun. Runs a really good system that I'd love to play in. So
with that. Before we go to break, I'll throw in the name Porter Moser. I think just what he's been able to accomplish over his career, but then also what he's doing with Oklahoma. Oklahoma looks really nice, especially when you think of the young point guard and Fears and what he's been able to do, man. So this is a guy that for sure has a fun offense, for sure, and wants his guards to go get it and get after it. So I'll throw in Porter Moser. All right, let's take our final break here on Field of 68 After Dark. When we come back, we got a preview of the big-time matchups coming up on Saturday, and we're making picks, and we want you to make picks too. I'll explain when we come back. Stay with us.
Now that college basketball season is back in full swing, I need to remind you guys about our partners over at Autograph, where the real college hoops fans reside. The Autograph app curates all of the best content for every sports fan and every sports fan's favorite team. Podcasts, blogs, analysis. It's all there without the nonsense from the talking heads that don't actually watch the games. And there's a bonus. Consuming content on the Autograph app earns you coins that can be redeemed for rewards for things like no-fee tickets or signed jerseys from your favorite players. There are a couple new features in the app that I need to let you guys know about as well. Autograph Replay gives you a quick-hitting summary of the previous day's news so you can keep track of all the important things going on with your favorite teams. And Autograph Rooms allows you to chat in real time with the true voices of fandom within your team's community. So go to the link in the description or scan that QR code on your screen and download the Autograph app.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Field of 68 After Dark. It is that time because we got a heavy college basketball slate coming to you this weekend. It's not going to be like what we saw tonight and what we didn't see because it was only really one game, and that was Iowa State, Iowa. So we're going to get into some of these top 25 matchups and the rankings there. And, guys, it's going to be a full day. I'm not sure on what you got on your schedule. I know that I got to do a few hours of radio, and then after that, I'm still going to be locked into the games, but after that, I'm locked into the rest of the game. So let's start it off here, man, and go to the game, the biggest matchup of that night. And you're looking at a UConn team that's continuing to try and find its footing, find its way. They face off against number 8 Gonzaga, and that game is going down in the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. So, RC, go ahead and start us off, my man. Who do you have winning that matchup between Gonzaga and UConn, and why?
I want to pick Gonzaga because I don't want to hear Rob's mouth. Like I've had enough of Rob. Dude, seriously, for a lifetime. Like Rob make me want to cheer against UConn for the rest of my life. But no, I think UConn. I think UConn takes care of business at home, man. In the Garden, it'll be essentially a home game for them. You know, with Caravan back, I expect UConn to rebound. You know, and pull out a close one. But I'm big on Gonzaga though. I am big on Gonzaga.
Yeah, definitely gonna be a nice matchup inside of the Garden, man. And if you see at the top right of your screen, right over by Jerel, you can scan that QR code and you can play along with us, make your picks with us, because we got to shout out our guy Ty from last week who went 9-1. So salute to you, Ty, man. I don't know if you can run back this week. And see if you can go 9-1 again, maybe 10-0.
Hey,
we'll see how that works out for you.
Texas in the chat, Ty. I need some for my parlay, man. Help me out.
Hey, look, all money line parlays, but you're gonna have some upsets in there too. So that's what I'm talking about.
You gotta mix some in.
Yeah, and there goes the crew standings. Look at, and you talk about Rob, RC. Rob went 10-0 last week with
Rob
his picks, followed up by Enright
8-2
and Michael 6-4.
Don't change the diaper.
We ain't gonna never hit the end of this.
Nah, never. Unless you know what? Unless all three of us go 10-0, that's like the only thing that we can do in this, and we'll just have a better record than what we had from those guys last week. But again, shout out to Ty, and again, if you want to be like Ty or even try and improve to go 10-0, scan that QR code right side of your screen and play along with us. All right, RC is going UConn, and I'm like you, RC. As much as I wanted to go with Gonzaga, it feels like UConn has found something, right, moving forward, and they don't want to continue to keep getting embarrassed in front of company. And when I mean company, I mean national television. I mean, this is a team with Alex Caravan back. Obviously, we saw what they were able to do against Texas. They're starting to find their footing and moving it forward, and basically a home game for them in New York City. And just thinking about the travel for Gonzaga, coming from Spokane all the way to NYC, that's a hell of a trip, man. So I'm looking at UConn pulling that thing out, and they get the win as well. So 2 for UConn. Jerel, you making it a clean sweep with UConn as well, or are you going the opposite way?
It's a clean sweep. As much as I like Gonzaga, UConn kind of showed me something. As much as Hurley didn't enjoy his trip to Maui, with this team for this year, I think it's actually going to do them some good, man. I seriously do, because obviously once you had the success that they have, they're going to have to do things a little bit different this year with a different group of guys, and I think they just figuring it all out. But it's hard to bet against those dudes in the Garden, man. Like y'all said, it ain't no home game. That's going to be a UConn heavy crowd, and they're going to have dudes out there barking. We got enough of that last year in the Garden for a week straight, huh? So I know how that's going to end up turning out. So yeah, I'm going with the Huskies.
All right, let's talk about the number one team in the country, the Tennessee Volunteers, going on the road and playing a true road game, no neutral site. They're going to Champaign, Illinois to face off against the Fighting Illini. RC, this is going to be must-see TV just from a guard standpoint alone, man. This is going to be a great game. So what's the view on this one, man? Are you going, which orange are you going with, man? You going with that Tennessee orange or are you going with that Illinois orange to pull this one off?
I think Tennessee gets a true road win. I'm going with the Vols on the road.
Ooh. Okay. All right.
Defense travels. I'm going to try defense travels. Now, this is a hard one. This is hard. I mean, it's a coin flip. It really is. This is a talented Illinois team. It's funny. I found myself picking all the home teams, and this was just one of those games where I was like, I can't pick a home team. I got to pick away. It was like an eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'm having a hard time. I could be talked out of this easily, but I'm going to go ahead and stick with Tennessee.
RC, I want to talk you out of it right now, man. I know Tennessee plays defense, but the young boy, Kasper Yakashonis, this dude is a first-round pick for sure. And the way that he's playing, he's going to find himself, and you know how these mock drafts work, and that buzz starts to come around that name. He's going to find that name possibly in the lottery. This is just all my personal opinion on just how good that dude is and what I've seen from him so far. Now, obviously, he's going to get his first real test against Tennessee, against one of the best defenses in the country, but then also is not going to be able to half step on the defensive end because you're talking about Shaz Lanier, of course, Zakai Ziegler, like those dudes can go. So there's going to be a ton of NBA scouts and GMs in Champaign to watch that game, but I'm going to Illinois. I'm going with the home team. So I know you didn't want to go all home teams, but I'm just going to keep this trend going for myself, and I'm going to go with the Fighting Illini. The only thing that worries me about Illinois is that who else can step up for this team? I know the big guys, V6 can shoot the basketball. Will Wiley.
Sounds like you doubting it.
No, I'm not doubting it. But I'm just saying they're gonna have to have multiple guys, RC, against a Tennessee defense that we know is tough as hell. Step up and be consistent to knock off Tennessee in that game. But home environment, State Farm Arena gets a little wild at times, and I think offensively, Illinois has enough to get over the hump. So that's what I'm going with. I'm going with the Fighting Illini. What you got, Jerel?
I'm going with Tennessee. And it was a toss-up for me too. I think at the end of the day, the thing that I'm a little bit concerned about with Illinois this year is not the talent, it's not the offense. They got all the guys that can score and handle the ball and make reads and decisions and pass. Yeah. But this is going to be a different kind of game with Tennessee, and I think it's going to be a good barometer for Illinois to see where they at because it's going to be a tough physical game. And right now, I think that's kind of what they're missing a little bit. They're missing a little bit of grit, and I want to see how they're going to hold up against a little bit of pressure and physicality. I think it'll be a good matchup as well at the point guard position with Boswell versus Kai Ziegler. Yeah. That'll be fun to watch. I want to see who's going to guard Lanier too. So it'll be a fun game to watch. I think it'll be a close, entertaining game, but I got Tennessee taking it on the road.
Well, I'm gonna make sure I create a group text with us three when that game tips off, man, so we can kind of get into that thing a little bit. All right, let's move on to the next game, man. Of course, that long rivalry between Louisville and Kentucky going down inside of Rupp Arena. We just talked about Kentucky and that offense, that front offense that Mark Pope has for this veteran group. So, RC, start us off. Who do you have in this matchup between Louisville and Kentucky?
Two of the best hires, man, that you can make that were made this offseason. But the Cards are just decimated with injuries, man, and you got to go with Kentucky. I don't know how you pick it's just, Louisville have been devastated with injuries and their game, they're competing, but Kentucky's experience, I'm going to go with the Wild. I'm going to go with Kentucky.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm going Kentucky as well. I'm just thinking about a kid that I know personally, knowing his father, and Kashawn Pryor. I know his pop, Sean Pryor. And he just posted that his son had the ACL surgery. So he's only been obviously out for the year, but he's just one of many injuries for that Louisville team. And then again, for them being on the road, and I know that, it can and can't play a factor when it comes to this situation, but Kentucky is just too tough across the board, too much depth with that team. What you got, Jerel?
Yep, same. I'm going Kentucky Blue. I think that last injury, like you said, CJ, was kind of they already had a ton of injuries and short-staffed in practice and everything else. Because I heard Kelsey talking about that in one of his interviews. But man, I think that last one was just kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. It'll be a much more interesting game next season.
Yeah, love that. All right, so we're gonna rapid fire with the next round of games, man. Memphis at number 16, Clemson. RC, who you got?
Clemson.
Yep. I'm with you.
I ain't got none of that. Just Clemson.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one as well. I'm going Clemson as well. Jerel?
Just out of pure spite for Jeff Goodman, I'm taking Memphis.
Love to hear. I love to hear that.
RC, I thought you was gonna do it.
I was thinking about it. But
no, leave. No. Leave that up. Matter of fact, put all of us Memphis just so Jeff can see this, and we can screen grab this and just troll his ass every single time. So put Memphis up for all of us, Dagan. Do that right now, please, so we can screen grab this and show Jeff because I know he's watching. But Jeff, we're going Memphis, man, just to spite you. All right, let's go to the next game. Texas A&M against Purdue. RC, who you rolling with?
Ooh. I'm gonna go Purdue.
I'm going Texas A&M.
I just think they're gonna be tough to beat at home. Mackey Arena. I can't pick against Purdue in Mackey Arena. It's in Indy. It's in Indy, but it's essentially a home game. I mean, it's not Mackey Arena, but it's Indiana. Yeah. It's a home game. I can't pick against Purdue at home.
Look, Matt Payne is my former coach at Southern Illinois my freshman year, but I'm concerned about those guards, man. That Texas A&M defense, they will get after you. And we saw the bad side of Purdue with those turnovers against Penn State. So I'm going to go with the Aggies to get this one. What you got, Jerel?
Yep, I'm going Texas A&M as well too. I think they're gonna end up having a hard time keeping. They're gonna have a hard time. Purdue gonna have a hard time keeping A&M off the offensive rebounds. They probably get 15 to 20 of them. They win in a close one.
All right, how about Xavier? Xavier in Cincinnati, number 22, Cincinnati. RC, this rivalry, we know it can get wild. So are you gonna go Xavier just for our guy Kenny Freeze, or are you just gonna go with Cincinnati in this one? Who you got?
It's time for Cincinnati. Cincinnati needs this win to validate the start that they had, and so I'm gonna go with Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. I'm looking at Cincinnati and just it's inconsistency with Xavier for some of the role guys, especially off of the bench. You know, some nights they show up, and more nights they don't show up. So that's been my issue with Xavier so far this season. So I'm going with the Bearcats. What you got, Jerel?
Yep, I got Cincy as well too. They got a couple good guys that can make plays and score the ball. Jizzle James leading the way. I got Cincinnati in this one, and an intense rivalry game as well too. Let's not forget to mention that.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely protect your neck when these two teams meet, man. Number 20, Wisconsin against Butler. Wisconsin coming off that loss to Illinois that we saw the other night. Did they bounce back, RC, and get a win, or does Butler surprise a lot of people and knock off Wisconsin?
Wisconsin will bounce back. I think Wisconsin. I don't see them losing 2 in a row. I think they bounce back and get this one against Butler.
Yeah, and I think they do it by double-digit points, and I'm talking 20 to 24 points. I think they really show up. Yeah, I'm going that far. I'm going that far with it. Yeah, I'm going that far with it. So go ahead and clip this, send this out, and we're gonna run this back at that final score. Jerel, what you got?
Yep, I'm going with Wisconsin as well. I think they get off the mat right here, but I think it'll be a little bit closer than 20 points though. So,
hey man, Jerel copying off my paper, bro. Like for real, we're in school. Damn! Like,
all right, well let's see if he's gonna copy off your paper on this one, man. When you got UCLA against that struggling Arizona team, man. We touched on that. RC, who are you going with in this one?
Arizona better win. Like, ain't no ifs, ands, buts about this. They better win. Like, it ain't even close about it. They ain't playing worth a damn, but they better win. Like, this is a must-win game for Arizona. Like, I don't know what else to say. Caleb Love, let's go, bro. Come on, man. Let's go.
Yeah. It's about time. I mean, we talked about Jonell Davis of Arkansas. Like, we waiting for him.
Bro, let's go. Get the locker room right. Whatever's going on up there, Caleb Love, let's go. It's on you. It's on you to fix it. I don't know what's going on, but get it right. You got the talent.
Yeah.
Let's go. So.
All right. I'm with you, man. I'm going with Arizona, Caleb Love. Like we talked about with Jonell Davis. At some point, You got to turn it around because people are looking at you as a leader. So maybe this game on Saturday will be the game for Caleb Love. So I'm going to Arizona as well.
Clean sweep again. I got Zona. Like y'all said, at some point, backs against the wall. They got to show a post at some point.
Yeah.
RC.
He looking at my paper. You see him looking over there.
Like,
every time he look over
up.
there, he looking at my paper.
Even looking.
You say you pulling one of these. He looking over and pulling one of these.
Around. He got a camera in his arm somewhere.
All right, let's move forward. We talked about Arizona State and them and what they could be in the Big 12 going up against Florida. It's going to be a tough game for Arizona State. They pull this off, then we have to put a lot of more respect on the name of the Sun Devils. So what you got, RC?
Florida's good, man. They're good. I mean, they got 3,000-point scores in the backcourt. It's hard to pick against the Gators.
Yeah. Too much dominance with them backcourt, but then also Arizona State defensively. The front court, but defensively, front court or even backcourt for Arizona State, can you consistently get stops throughout 40 minutes against this type of team in Florida? So it's too much strength, too much power for Florida, so I'm going with the Gators as well.
I got Florida, but I gotta ask RC. I just knew we had this one different. You just gave him a shout out.
I did. But
I said, damn, I know he got Arizona State picked.
I think Florida State is like one of the best teams that nobody's talking about, and I think Walter Clayton Jr. is as good as a guard or playing as good as any guard is in the country. Like he warrants All-American conversation right now, and I don't think people are talking about him enough. I think he's that good and playing that well.
All right, let's finish it up here. Finish it up here. Creighton on the road in Tuscaloosa against number 7 Alabama RC. Blue Jays gonna try and keep that same energy that we saw against Kansas and try and shock somebody else. Yeah, I tried to set it up, but I knew the answer and I knew the expression I was gonna get from both of you guys. But I'm just trying to do my job as a host and try and set up and maybe give Creighton fans some hope. But it ain't happening. Yeah. So RC's got Alabama. I'm going Alabama. Jerel, I'd be shocked if you're going Creighton, bro.
No, man. It might be over. It might be over for Creighton. It's another sweep. Yeah, I hear you, man. All right, there are our rapid fire picks. And again, you can scan that QR code on the right top side of your screen, man. Join in with us and see how your record compare to ours, and hopefully we can go 10-0 and just make it work, man. In some way, in some fashion. Obviously, some of our picks different. So we're gonna finish things off with our toast of the night on this Thursday night. Not a lot of options, fellas. So let's try and get creative with these toasts of the nights. RC, you in the fire first, man. What you got? Who you got? Who you toasting to?
Hey, man, my toast to the third best shooter on the Zoom tonight, man. Curtis Jones. Great job tonight, man.
There you go. Shout out to Curtis Jones, 23 points, game high in that Iowa State-Iowa game. Who you got, Jerel?
I'm going with his teammate. I got Josh Jefferson. Flirted with a triple-double tonight, 19, 10, 7 assists. Flirted with her, winked at her a little bit, didn't get her, but, all is well that ends well. So they still got the win, a big road win, but he carried them down the stretch and in the first half, so he was fantastic tonight. That's my toast of the night.
All right, toast of the night right there. Jefferson putting in work, and I'm going to stay with it on the Iowa State side of things, but not player, but coach. So TJ Osterberger, just toast of the night for you rocking that Schmedium shirt, man. I don't know what it is, bro. They got to give you another size up with that thing, or you putting that thing on towel dry in the highest heat to shrink it.
Nah, he just got to do legs, man. He just got to do some legs, man. He got to do leg day. That's
Work
all.
them legs. Work them legs, man. Too. Don't forget about that.
You got to have a balance. You got to have a balance, man. But shout out to Coach Osterberger for having the confidence to rock that tight of a T-shirt, but then also get a win against your rival in Iowa. All right, that'll do it for this edition of the Field of 68 After Dark. For my guys, Randolph Childress and Jerel McNeal, I'm Cam Smith. We appreciate everybody tapping in with us. Enjoy those games. We'll see you soon.